Gordon, are we the new people?
I think we're the new
I
people.
think that's us. I think we're the new people.
Yay! We're the new people. The
Yay!
Langoliers is over.
Yeah, let's do a cheesy freeze frame.
We gotta end this podcast. We gotta figure out what the audio equivalent of a freeze frame is to end this podcast on a freeze frame. But hey, everyone, we're talking about the Langoliers, the two-part mini series, if you can call it that. It's basically two movies or one very long movie. And what a time at the I can't even say what a time at the movies because it's
What a
not at the
time in front
movies.
of your television set.
What a time at the TV. The
What
Langoliers,
a time on
1995.
CBS or whatever network this was. I think
It
you
was
have that
ABC. It was ABC.
ABC.
If it was CBS, we would have been watching The Rockford Files or perhaps Murphy Brown and then Sybil and then Chicago Hope, depending on whether it was Sunday night or Monday night.
Damn, I wish I was watching Sybil
And Murphy Brown and Chicago Hope.
and Murphy Brown and Chicago Hope. But it's like wait, but I'm probably thinking the wrong Sybil. I'm thinking of the Sally Field Sybil. I feel
No,
like
Sybil the sitcom.
Sybil the second. That's different.
I think Cloris Leachman, right?
Maybe, probably.
Let's see.
Sounds right.
Sybil sitcom. Well, Sybil Shepherd. I guess that makes more sense. It was
Oh,
Sybil
is it
Shepherd.
literally like Sybil Shepherd sitcom?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Christine Baranski, Alicia Witt, Ellen Rosenberg. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
What's
Cloris
the?
Leachman is like Alice or something. No, not
No,
Alice.
Alice doesn't live here anymore.
Um,
What was her
she
sitcom?
she has a name sitcom
Yeah.
from her character on Mary Tyler Moore show. Valerie?
No, because I don't
No?
think that. What was her sitcom? Did she have a sitcom? Phyllis.
Phyllis.
Phyllis. Kind of a similar name to Sybil in
Cloris as Phyllis.
there you go. Okay.
Anyway,
Hi everyone.
by the way, this is called Televised, the TV movie story.
It is. It's a podcast. You're listening to it. You know that. Uh this is our closing out of our first block of programming where we picked out these movies ahead of time. At the end of this episode, before we freeze frame audio wise, we will be live drawing kind of using a random number generator to figure out what next month's movies are. So stay tuned for that little thing to get you to keep listening to the podcast you're already actively listening to. But also stick around because you want to hear us talk about the Langoliers because what
God,
a what a time.
I just going into it straight away, I love this. This was amazing.
I also loved this, and also this was amazing, and also this was really bad. And those two things I think coexist at the same time. I think
Oh,
this is
absolutely.
it's like it's a good time. It's
Mhm.
3 hours and at times it's not. I was giggling, and I was also genuinely invested. Uh,
Same. Like my Letterboxd review is literally it's like switching back and forth between genuinely good story and laughably bad, but both are great. So,
and it's not just that the CGI is bad, because the
oh no.
CGI is bad, but like that's like maybe
That's like the
3 minutes
least
of
of the
screen
problems
time.
here.
Yeah. Like I looked at a few different like Stephen King adaptation rankings that people have done, and this is generally near the bottom, if not at the bottom of a lot of people's lists.
Which I
Uh,
think is unfair.
yeah, there are worse ones, I assumed. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of the bad ones. Like I haven't seen any of the fire starters or the pet cemeteries or the children of the corn or the Dark Tower or a lot of the other ones that are I haven't seen Lawnmower Man, like a lot of these that are at the bottom of a lot of people's lists. But like there was enough good stuff here that like there's no way this is the worst or even like bottom 10 Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah, like there's no way that this is worse than Maximum Overdrive, even though that one's also fun, or like It Chapter 2 from
Yeah.
2019. It's like this is at the very least, this is a fun movie and not miserable to sit through.
Yeah, there's enjoyable stuff here and like it's not scary, which I think is also why it ends up at the bottom of a lot of those
Yeah.
lists because it's like billed as that's the thing. This isn't even really horror. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's not trying to be. It's
yeah, and I think a lot of people are judging it as, excuse me, as horror, and that's where a lot of that comes up
yeah.
from. But like,
It's like mystery sci-fi.
it's a good little sci-fi thriller that builds tension mostly pretty well with a lot of issues,
Yeah.
which I'm sure we'll talk about. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that this was kind of that we're on the same page here because I even though we did text a little bit about this ahead of time, I
Yeah.
could not really gauge what your thoughts were on it, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted to like I didn't want to be in here fighting over the Langoliers, but no, this will
Hon
be.
Honestly, even if we did like completely disagree, there would still be a lot to talk about here
Oh
because like
yeah.
if you don't like this, you still have a lot to say about it.
Yeah. So let me do the little rundown of
Yeah.
like the so this is The Langoliers from 1995, written and directed by Tom Holland, not that one. Based on the novella The Langoliers by Stephen King from the anthology book Four Past Midnight, along with Secret Window, Secret Garden, The Library Policeman, and The Sundog, which I read through the plot descriptions of those last two, and they seem, standard low tier Stephen King fare. With Sundog is about a haunted Polaroid camera that every time you take
Ooh.
a picture, there's a dog that's running closer and closer to the camera, and it jumps out and kills someone. And then they take
What?
another picture of the dog and capture it in that camera. Then it gets it. Then it's haunting his new computer. That's the twist at the end.
What? Like
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like that movie Polaroid that should where it's just like if you take a picture of somebody they die, but it's just like
No,
that's
every time you take
worse.
there's like a big evil dog that is running towards the camera, and with every photo, it gets closer. Anyway, the movie stars Patricia Wedig, Dean Stockwell, David Morse, Mark Lindsay Chapman, Frankie Faison, Baxter Harris, Kimber Riddle, Christopher Collett, with Kate Maberly and Bronson Pinchot. Some of those people will have more to talk about than others out of the
Definitely.
cast.
I
Uh, oh, what were we
Oh,
gonna
I
say?
was just gonna say I think a good idea, like we get the basic plot out of the way and then we just go through each character.
Yeah, because this is one of those like, I mean, not to bring it up again, but like this did a lot of times remind me a lot of Lost in that it's not just the airplane stuff, but I'm always drawn to a bunch of strangers are caught together in some weird circumstance and they have to come together to like figure out what's going on. Like that's what draws me towards apocalypse stories in general as a concept of like, oh, I like the seeing these people come together and get to know each other over the course of whatever their circumstances. So like the characters here are
Hmm.
where to go.
Yeah.
It broadcast the nights of May 14th and 15th, 1995 on ABC. That first night, it was up against the Rockford Files, Married with Children, and part one of Naomi and Winona Love Can Build a Bridge, which I think is, if that's not already on our list, it's another two-part miniseries, which maybe we should have paired with the Langoliers just to do like, because they broadcast over the same two nights. Because the next night, like I said, Murphy Brown and Sybil in Chicago Hope, Medicine Ball, Naomi and Winona, Love Can Build a Bridge, Part Two, and then on UPN, Pigsty and Platypus Man, which
Ooh.
I don't know what either of those are. Pigsty appears to be just like a regular sitcom about people. I didn't look into Platypus Man, but that seems like maybe something there. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is the rundown. Obviously, this was created in the wake of the It miniseries and the Stand miniseries, both being so successful, and like, whoa, we can do Stephen King miniseries, like two-part things, and didn't quite work out with this one. Obviously, like I said, this is not one that people generally like or respect all that much, but we're here to maybe set the record straight about the Langoliers.
Mhm. Exactly. Uh one quick thing, you mentioned Lost and it's like the second note I wrote down was this is probably the closest we'll come to reviewing Lost on this show.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty lost. There were some points in here where I was like, oh, this was if not a direct influence on Lost, because why would it be? But like there's some seeds here that plant the eventual Lost uh, uh finish of the end of the metaphor, you know?
Yeah. And I also want to say, so I'm watching this before, like in 3 days or so, I'm going to be going on a red-eye flight across the
Ooh,
country. Hey,
don't fall asleep.
I'm going to London, and it's just like, damn, maybe I should fall asleep so I can go through time warp and see just what's going on. Maybe I can beat the Langoliers, chill out with them,
Maybe you can get Langoliered.
share a cold one with the Langoliers.
No, it won't be a cold one. It'll be a room
Oh
temperature
yeah,
flat
it'd be a
one.
room
It
temperature
is
flat one
that is like
that's
one of the
tasteless.
that is like so pointedly not a thing you can do with the Langoliers, Eliza.
No, no, I'm gonna have it on the plane, and then as I
Oh, well,
bring it out, share it, and then it'll be
there,
fine. Don't worry.
there you
I
go.
I
Yeah, you got
got
to do
this,
it quick though,
Corbin.
because the matches eventually also stop working off
Exactly.
the plane. So you got to do it real quick.
Anyway, who do we
Anyway,
want to start with?
oh, do we want to do the plot? Do we
Oh
want to
yeah,
run
plot,
down
plot. For I
do
didn't
you want
realize we didn't, but I can do plot.
yeah, just the
So,
basic beats of it.
so essentially, all these passengers are getting on this red-eye flight from I'm pretty sure it's LA to Boston,
Yes,
and
they mentioned LAX a couple times.
and this kooky cast of characters are all boarding this flight, surprisingly late, might I add. It's like they're announcing the plane
It's
is boarding.
1995.
I know
There's a lot fewer things you gotta account for.
it's still shocking. Like the person in me that's like gets there an hour early at
Yeah.
least to a flight. It's just like, come on. But anyway, they're all boarding this flight. Oh, we'll get into like why each person's going there in a second. But then suddenly, after they board, after they depart, 10 people wake up on the plane and find that nobody else is there. All the pilots, all the crew is gone. On like one of the passengers is like missing their aunt, and it's just they have to figure out where everybody went and what's going on. And eventually they do land at an airport in Maine, of course, to try and see what's going on in the world and try and figure out what happened to them or what happened to everybody else. Something happened somewhere. They got to figure it out. And so, who do we want to start with in terms of these mysterious travelers?
Let's start because I don't want to go in order of billing because I don't know why Patricia Wettig is first billed in this because her character has very little to do ultimately.
I think she was
Let's
big
start.
at the time, maybe.
Yes, because 30 something was either probably still on air or something. So she was a bit out of these people, probably one of the bigger TV stars at the time.
I think
Um,
I think a good place to start is David Morse. He's a
yes, I
maybe
was gonna say let's start with our protagonist, if you can call him that, Captain Brian something.
yeah, Brian
Uh,
Engel. Uh,
Engel. Sure.
he he's a pilot first of all, but he's on the plane to because his ex-wife died. They make sure to emphasize that he's divorced. I like this one quote. My wife? Oh, you mean my ex-wife? We're divorced.
Yes.
Real subtle.
Real, very, you gotta have a divorced guy in there. But yeah, so he's a pilot for, is it American Pride? Is that the name of
American Pride is the
the
fake
fake
airline.
airline? Um, but so he gets just sort of rerouted onto this plane that he's not piloting. He's just there because he was going to pilot another plane. He was
Yeah.
like ready to fly, and they were like, "Hey, actually, your ex-wife died. Get on this other plane." And so he is our protagonist, if you can call him that. He's
Yeah.
literally like the driving force of a lot of the plot because you need a pilot
Hmm.
uh, on account of the airplane stuff.
Y'all need a
Um,
pilot.
he is very sleepy in this movie. I like David Morse generally. He's a good presence in a lot of things. I like him here, but like he is very uh, uh he's probably the least dynamic performance of
Yeah.
the main ones because he just feels kind of uncomfortable in a
Yeah.
way. He's just sort of there and does he seems like the least invested in making I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's like they're going for like the kind of pilot cadence where it's like no matter the situation, they always seem like level-headed. But
Yeah.
David Morse just like you're saying, it just makes it seem like not invested in
It would
anything.
be it would work a lot better if he wasn't the forefronted character. Like if we mostly followed Nick, for example, or Dinah, or any of these like if he was a secondary character and his whole deal was that he was keeping calm the whole time despite it
Mhm.
all, like it would be a lot more interesting rather than him being kind of your de facto lead and not being very dynamic at all. That
Mhm.
being said, I like David Morse. I don't think he's bad in
Oh
this.
yeah.
And as much as everyone in this is kind of bad and also everyone is kind of fine, but like he doesn't really stand out as a performance. but it's a fun character, kind of.
Yeah, like
He's
I enjoy seeing him there. He's a person I enjoyed looking at more than some of the others. But
yeah,
at the same time, he's a straight man essentially. He's the like bit of normalcy, I guess, in
yeah.
this otherworldly situation with all
He's
these kooky characters.
anytime the movie needs us to like get on board with one of the weird supernatural elements, it'll cut to him being like, "Okay, I believe you, Gene Stockwell. Let's do that." He's sort of our even the normal guy believes this weird stuff that is going on. It must be true.
Hmm.
But like that's really all there is to him, I would say. I mean, he flies the plane and he knows the like techno babble about like, oh well, I need X amount of jet fuel and I we need to be here and just like he
Yeah.
knows the plane because he can fly the plane and that's his primary plot function.
Yeah,
And I don't really, yeah.
they'd be really fucked if there wasn't a pilot who
Yeah.
happened to be sleeping.
It's a good thing Stephen King decided to write a pilot character, or else
It's
it'd be a real short story. The plane crashes and they all die, and they never even get to meet the Langoliers.
you know what else we're very glad Stephen King wrote into the story? A Stephen King self-insert played by Dean
Yeah,
Stockwell.
yeah. Like the IMDb trivia is like the mystery writer Bob Jenkins is based on Stephen King's character. Like, oh, I'm sure. Like, of course, it's the
There's
Stephen
one
King
in every
stand-in.
story.
Yeah. And
But
this
oh
one,
my God, Dean Stockwell is Shatnerizing so hard here.
yeah, he's really, really quirking it up. Quirked up white boy in this movie.
Busting
Quirked
it
up
out
white boy Dean Stockwell.
Shatner style.
Um, yeah, he's really. Oh well, I had a theory about. Well, young man, I had a theory about this. Young lady, all this, just like talking down to all these people. Really.
I deduce.
I deduce, yes, really making use of those eyebrows that God gave him in this movie. Like, yeah, he's delightful. I mean, Dean Stockwell is I'm always happy to see him in anything. He's one of my favorites. And even if he is like so wild in this movie, it's a good time with Dean Stockwell. He gets to do the most like supernatural like hypothesizing because he's a mystery writer and so he can figure out the time rift and the uh everyone else didn't leave, we left and we're in the past and
Mhm.
that's why all of the beer is flat and the sandwiches are tasteless and the matches don't work and there's no echoes, which like
Yeah.
it's a good atmosphere. It's a really interesting building of this like I mean I don't want to fall into the obvious trap of saying the liminal spaces of this empty airport, but like it does really capture the backrooms aesthetic, as it
Oh
were,
yeah.
with the like I love the way they do that. I love the way that the story builds up that. And from what I can tell, according to one Reddit comment I saw, it is one of the more faithful adaptations from text to screen of like
Oh.
all of the like plot beats and character beats and like elements are pretty much as they are in the book. Like the biggest difference from what I could tell is that in the book there's no wind outside and obviously you can't shoot that. You can't
Mhm.
like you can tell it's very windy, so they just have it be that the clouds aren't moving and they comment on that as the sort of stand-in. But no, I really like the way that uh Dean Stockwell's character is kind of our vessel for exploring those weirder ticks of this time
Yeah.
rift and he's good at it. He's very good at making that sound like weird kook mystery writer saying this and not an actor reading lines that are hard to parse, you know?
Yeah, it's like for how like crazy it is to watch him and for how kind of useless he is in the rest of the story. I do really like the one scene where he finally like he figures it all out and explains the mechanics of the time rip and stuff. It's like where he talks about how they are all time travelers and it's like it's not like the fantasized ideal. You can't go back to November 22nd, 1963 and stop the Kennedy assassination, which is of course another Stephen King story.
Eh,
Um,
foreshadowing.
but it's like that whole not just his performance, but the whole idea of the story being like unstuck from time and all that. I really liked that idea, if it weren't for
Yeah.
the fact that there's monsters also.
Yeah, which even then, when they end up explaining their purpose, like what the Langoliers are actually there to do, that's also not a bad idea. That they are to devour the past so that it's not like stored on an infinite timeline or whatever. They come to clean up the trash of the past and eat it away, and it's the most efficient way to get rid of all of like that was kind of interesting. Yeah, it's a really interesting premise, honestly.
Mhm.
That like I'm sure this is like there's I think there's like a Twilight Zone episode that is similar in concept to the
Probably.
sleeping passengers get zapped away or whatever. But no, I think Gene Stockwell is he's enjoyable. He's also really rocking that plaid on plaid look with the blazer and the pants, two different shades of blue plaid. Like good for him for making that work, I guess.
But yeah.
Uh did I? Oh, I mean, he also has like he runs through at the end of the when they're about to go through the rift and diverts them like, oh, we have to all be asleep or we're all gonna get double disappeared. Like he's at least relevant to the plot a couple other times. It's not just uh the figuring it out, but yeah,
Mhm.
he's not the most plot driving character other than like two moments where he very much is, but
Yeah. And he, to be fair, he is more important than some of these other characters that we'll eventually touch on briefly. But
yeah.
but but he
Uh,
is at the very least incredibly memorable.
yes.
You'll always remember a Dean Stockwell performance, I feel
Yes.
like.
Let's go to Nick next.
Nick, the
Nick the
MI6 agent.
yes, who I know that he's the character is British and the actor is British. He sounds so Australian to me, and I don't know
Yeah.
what it like to the point that the first half I was like, oh, because I had read the Wikipedia sort of character summary and I saw that he was an MI6 agent, and I was like, oh, he's pretending to be Australian, and midway through, it's going to be revealed that he's actually British. But no, he's just British, and I just can't parse accents, I guess. But it's really, I really thought that he sounded Australian,
No,
which is not
I
like a.
totally agree.
Okay, I'm glad to know I'm not totally crazy about that. But he's a very mixed bag of a character. They kind of just sort of turn up and turn down the dial of him all over the place of just like, well, here he really strongly feels this one way, and then we're gonna cut away, and then no, now he believes Dinah and what she says about the sound, and now he's gonna push that forward, and now all of a sudden he's developed a romance with the teacher, and they're really together. And there's just a lot of stuff with him that like I don't know, but
Yeah,
he's a fun to watch, wild character.
the thing about him is like he is one of the most important characters. Like he does a lot. He beats the shit out of Bronson Pinchot, Mr. Toomey, so many times. But at the
Yeah,
same time, I find it hard to remember like any defining character about him. And
he's British and charming and
like
a man.
I
Like,
didn't remember that he was like his whole purpose on the plane was to be like assassinating somebody in Boston or whatever. And
yeah.
it's like it doesn't come up again. It's like you
Until
didn't
the
need to
very
make
end and like yeah,
and it's just so weird. It's just like I wish I cared more about him, but I just
yeah.
don't.
I mean, he's introduced at a certain point. It's like, oh well, he's the one that's gonna stay behind, and he's the one that's gonna sacrifice himself, and like that's his plot function. Is he? There has to be someone that's like our tragic hero that makes the big sacrifice at the end. Because if it was Captain Brian something, like who cares?
Yeah.
He could have been the one that turns the switch, except for the fact that he needs to land the plane. But like none of like it just has it. He's kind of built up for that purpose, kind of like a Lamb to Slaughter, by Stephen King, which like yeah, sure, he's charming and present enough to be that role, but like nothing about the actual performance is all that gripping. He's charming, but like that's about it.
And I just want to talk about him for a second because of course his name is Mark Lindsay Chaplin and it's
Yes.
Chapman, very close to Mark David Chapman, the shooter of John Lennon, and Mark Lindsay Chapman played John Lennon in the movie about Mark David Chapman that starred Jared Leto. And it's like I was just reading up on this, and it's like it was an obvious like conflict of interest type thing,
Okay.
and the director was like, "How do you want to be credited? Because I don't feel like we should credit you by your name." And he was just like, "Credit me as Mark fucking Lindsay Chapman." And he's apparently like, "That's the guy I want for John Lennon," because that's exactly how John Lennon would have acted or whatever.
Well, apparently the TV movie from 1985, John and Yoko: A Love Story, that has Peter Capaldi as George Harrison. He originally auditioned for John Lennon in that, and Yoko Ono nixed it on the grounds of bad karma.
Mhm.
And then later on, yeah, like 20 years later, he was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm gonna play John Lennon now."
Yeah. And the thing
But
is, he doesn't look like John Lennon at all.
yeah, he doesn't. He
He
and
it
again, he doesn't sound like he's from Liverpool either. He sounds like he's from fucking Australia.
God. But yeah, that's the most interesting about this guy. Most
That's
interesting thing
Nick.
about this guy.
Yeah. Um,
Do we want to do Dinah?
I
Or should
guess
we do
so, yeah. Because
yeah.
I want to save Toomey for last.
Yeah, of course. It's just like I
Because
was when do we want to do the boring ones though?
well, okay, so we'll save Dinah and Toomey for last because they get the with and credit in the opening credits. So
Okay,
let's
let's
go through everyone else speed round.
uh
Patricia Wettig as teacher. Who has a name? Laurel, I think is her
Laurel.
name.
Yeah.
She is remarkably underserved by this movie.
She's
Like,
pretty.
yeah, but all she really does until the very end, where she's the conduit for Nick's what's the word I'm thinking of?
Affection or
No, his like getting better. His
oh.
what do you fucking call that?
I don't I
When you
don't totally know
sacrifice
what
yourself for the sake of his character. Oh my God. What's the word I'm thinking of? Starts with an R, I'm pretty sure. I'll come back to that. But like she is there for him to redemption. She's there
redemption.
for him to redeem himself by going to England and telling his dad about the daisies in Belfast or whatever.
Uh
But like other than that, she's a companion for the mystical blind girl that has the
yeah.
shining, and she is scared,
Oh
I guess.
yeah. It it's so funny how it's like at the start of the movie, it's like Dinah goes to her, it's just like, I'm scared, I need my aunt. She calms her down. But as they're landing the plane, she's like, you know what, Dinah? I don't want to go down there. I'm scared.
Yeah. And
Dinah
then
has to
for
comfort her.
for the whole rest of the movie, she's the one that's like, I don't think you should be doing this around the kid. And the kid is like, I'm fine. You're the one that's scared.
Yeah,
Uh,
like when they're telling her about the Langoliers
about
and
the
stuff,
Langoliers. Yeah. Yeah. I have nothing
scaring the
more to
little
say
girl.
about this character. Like she is fine. Uh, but like totally basically superfluous. Except for the fact that like you need a larger cast of characters for the sake of having an ensemble here, but like she doesn't really do shit.
Yeah.
Which makes like there's nothing to her. We
Yeah.
know that we haven't mentioned the reasons why everyone's going to Boston necessarily. So like we did say Captain Brian something is going there because his wife died in a fire. His
Yeah.
ex-wife, sorry.
The
Uh
the thing is I don't remember most of their reasonings except for like Mr.
Bob
Toomey.
Bob Jenkins straight up does not have a reason. It's never mentioned why he's going to Boston.
He's just
I'm only realizing now. Literally everyone else has a reason except him and Hungry Man. But Nick is going there because he is try which by the way, so I just remembered one of the details of this. So he's like you said, an MI6 fixer. He's like a hitman. And he's supposed to scare away some Boston politician who's bankrolling the IRA.
that's awesome.
It's like one of the most dated things of like, oh, This was made in a time when the IRA were the bad guys. Oh boy. But ultimately his again redeeming factor in this is like, oh, I wasn't supposed to kill. I wasn't supposed to kill this politician, but he did have a nice piece of fluff on the side, and I was supposed to kill her. I'm doing a terrible version of his accent there, but like
It's great. Don't
again,
worry.
his redeeming quality is like, oh, I wasn't going to assassinate a politician. I was going to assassinate his mistress to send a message. Like, does that endear me to you, Captain Brian? Like, and apparently it does because he gets to be redeemed. But like that was wild. And then Laurel is going because she answered a personal ad from a man in Boston and was
That's
going there
right.
on a whim. It's her first vacation she's had in years, which maybe that was a lie, actually.
I,
But
and then
she's
it's like you're
going to
meeting
meet
a
a
man
man.
you've never met.
Yeah, it's what a time. But yeah, let's run through these other four or so people that are like fine, but not really all that interesting. There's a violin man whose name
Oh,
is like
oh, Albert,
Albert, yes.
Christopher
Uh,
Colette.
very much giving Rick Moranis, but also giving the guy from Troll 2 who has they're eating her
Oh
and then they're
my
gonna eat me. Oh
God.
my God.
Yes.
Uh, by which I mean he's a skinny white guy with glasses.
And he has the curly tuft of hair.
Yes, he does. And he is going to Boston because he's going to a music school, which very much we know he's the music guy because he has his violin in a case. And also he's wearing a t-shirt that says Beethoven on it, which there's like a weird kerning thing in the text between the T and the H of Beethoven, and it's in cursive, and I couldn't, at first I thought it said beef shovers.
What?
I don't know. It was hard to read, and it's really low quality on the YouTube upload. And I was because there's a space in between the T and the H, which you don't expect there to be a space in cursive, because that's the whole thing with cursive. So I was reading it as two letters or as two words. But no, it just says Beethoven because he's that much of a music dork. That's his thing. And he almost murders Toomey with a toaster wrapped in a blanket. God, this movie rules.
Look. I loved him even though he didn't do anything. One, because he's
Yeah.
cute, and two, because he just keeps getting into situations.
Yeah, he has maybe like, I mean, his thing to the plot, other than knocking out Toomey with the toaster blanket, is that he looks out the window and realizes the plane is still bright, even though it's getting dark outside, which I thought was a bad effect, and then gets explained away as like, oh no, that's just like the weirdness of the space, which again, pretty cool way to have that epiphany come about by like, oh, we're already in this weird liminal space again. I'm using that word. But like the fact that the plane stays brightly lit even though it gets darker outside is what triggers him to realize, oh, there's still the past inside this airplane. I'm going to bring these matches from the newsstand into the plane and get them used to the past, and then they start lighting again. And does the same with the beer and the soda, which is a pretty cool moment. But then he has the really cringeworthy cap to that scene where he opens the soda and goes, I don't even remember what the line is,
I
but
have
like,
it written down.
okay, go for it.
Gentlemen, the
Don't forget
cola,
the bad British accent because he does.
gentlemen, the cola is very, very good today.
Oh, it's so bad, but it's so fun.
It's
Fuck,
so
this
good.
movie rules.
I
Um,
loved it. It's hilarious.
yeah, he's great, and he falls in love with. Oh God, what's
By
her
the way,
name?
he also like jumps in front of a gun, but he knows
Oh,
it won't
yes.
shoot.
He thinks it won't shoot,
Or
and it ends up the
it
bullet
shoots
hits him
but
in the
doesn't hit
chest.
him.
It hits him in the chest, but just sort of flattens and falls to the ground. And he just gets the wind knocked out of him a little bit. But he does that to save. What's her
The
name?
stoner girl,
Yes, the well,
Bethany.
the drug addict who's going to rehab.
Oh,
Yes, the
that's why she's
yeah,
going to
that's why
Boston.
she's going to Boston to visit her aunt, but she's like, "Oh no, my mom is just sending me here, and that my aunt is going to bring me right to rehab." But she's charming. She's fine.
Yeah, she has the least to do out of everybody. Ex ex
Well, you say that, but at least she lives to the end, unlike poor Frankie Faison, who
oh,
just like gets shanked in the back at like Which, okay, that scene is wild. I thought it was going to be so much worse with the way it ends. At least they go back and check on him. I thought it was going to be a thing because Albert is like, "Oh my God, I killed Toomey," and he's like freaking out over that, and like, and and also, oh God, what's his name? Also,
Rudy or
Mr. Gaffney.
oh
Mr. Gaffney.
Gaffney.
Mr. Gaffney is in the other room and he got killed. And then Nick goes over to Toomey and is like, he's not dead. And I thought they were just gonna leave and be like, well, what if Frankie Faison is also not dead and just bleeding out in this security room and just like that's the end of him. But no, they do go check and at least confirm that he's dead. But what a sad ending for that character who
Yeah,
gets nothing to do. I love Frankie Faison. He's, like from Silence of the Lambs and
yeah,
Do the Right Thing and The Wire, and like he's a great presence and he's really charming in this, but like really does not get anything to do. And it's an especially egregious the black character dies first in your horror movie because it's the least tied to anything. All the other
yeah,
characters that die are like plot significant deaths, and he just sort of gets shanked and that's it.
yeah. And it's like when I was watching this, I a thought I had was that Frankie Faison sh and Dean Stockwell should have switched roles because I think
I
Frankie
like
Faison
that.
would have like he would have been able to deliver like the oomph of Dean Stockwell's like mystery writer character without being as silly, which we love him because he's silly, but also like we also would have liked him if he was had like a good performance too.
Or you know what? Make Frankie Faison the captain. Have him and David Morse switch. Like I could see him like doing the like calm under pressure, commanding voice, like keeping everyone in check type thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, give
It
him more than Mr. Gaffney who gets stabbed in the back and bleeds out off screen.
do you know why he's going to Boston?
He's meeting his first granddaughter,
Oh yes.
which just gets like a throwaway line there. But yeah. Uh, Again, you really, I'm so curious about the outskirts of this movie of like when all these people disappeared off the plane and
Yeah.
now they're back, but like four of them are dead. What's the like repercussions of that? What's gonna happen with Dinah's aunt? Like, what's gonna
Well,
happen?
yeah, like what
Like,
happened to all the other people on the plane? Like, did they all just make it to Boston safely and then randomly during the flight, 10
I
people disappeared?
I don't because it's implied that they like disappeared from the plane. Like they just like went away to heaven or whatever. Like they got raptured. Uh, and like I guess that's what we're supposed to end up believing on account of when they come back to the real timeline, they have the plane, and otherwise that means there's two of that exact plane, just like in the world, and you're just like creating matter. But I mean, the
I
Langoliers are eating matter, so that's not really the issue. But I guess those people, because all of their material goods stayed behind, uh, otherwise the implication otherwise is that the rift makes two separate planes, the one from the real world and the one that goes into Langolier Town. And the people in the real world are just like, well, I don't have my glasses or watch or hair or pacemaker or dentures or coins anymore. So I guess they did just get raptured or whatever.
yeah, I think like the people who were awake just like completely vanished and it's which they mentioned this briefly, but it's like where's their clothes?
Yeah,
Like
they don't mention the clothes actually. The
oh, they don't.
clothes there's no reference to the fact that hey, no, like all of their clothes also left with them, but their watches and glasses and wigs arbitrarily stayed. Like, what's the deal there? How does the universe decide what is or is not you?
Hmm.
Or maybe it's just they don't want to rapture a bunch of naked people up to heaven.
Yeah, it's the idea that like you will be clothed in the afterlife.
Yes,
Don't
I
worry,
guess.
but you won't have any
Uh,
of your material things either.
yeah. Actually, I said Frankie Faison is the one who has the least to do, but even less than that is again Hungry Man, whatever
Rudy
his name is Rudy
Warwick,
Warwick, uh,
and the thing
who's
about him is he likes to eat.
not even that. He's just hungry. Like it's not even that he likes to eat. It's just he just took a nap on a plane and he woke up and he's hungry now and he wants to eat. It's not that he's like this like gluttonous figure that is looked down upon. He's just hungry and wants to find food. And the lobster tanks at the airport are like not even by the food, like a restaurant. They're just in the middle of the reception area of the airport. There's just a bunch of lobster tanks. What was up with that? Why
I
are
mean,
they?
it's Maine.
I know, but like at least put them by a restaurant. They're just like freestanding in the middle of boarding.
Yeah,
What's
just
up
like,
with that?
welcome to Maine, have a lobster.
A live one. Take it home with you. Put it in your luggage. But yeah, he has nothing to do except for fall asleep and make Dean Stockwell realize that they all have to fall asleep or else they're gonna get blipped. Uh,
And he also realizes all the food sucks.
yeah. That it tastes like paper and the beer's flat and tasteless and oh shucks, I don't get to eat. And then at the end, when they get to the real world and Albert gets to eat the most delicious honey bun, Hungry Man picks up a sandwich and they drag him out of the whatever you call that, the little like newsstand there before he can even like he drops the sandwich. He doesn't even get his fucking food. Justice for Hungry Man.
Justice for Rudy. Who
Yeah,
it's
Rudy.
he would be
Yeah,
very offended if he would be very offended if you don't call him his name.
Rudy. Yes. Give him his sandwich.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
now our
I
last.
did like him. He felt
Oh
very
yes,
Oliver
no, yeah.
Platt to me.
Oh, very Oliver Platt. He's very much
Very Platty.
yeah. I was kind of thinking partway through like who I would cast in a remake of this, like if with better CGI and like a more condensed version, because again,
Yeah,
you
like
don't need 3 hours for this.
if
But
it
if
was
like
made into a major motion picture today.
or if it was made into a Mike Flanagan Netflix series about trauma, who would you
Trauma.
cast? Yes, but Oliver Platt is good for Rudy. That would be a solid fit.
Honestly, I have no idea. I just know I want Tom Holland as Albert Krasner just to have that connection.
Yes, I have a casting for one person, but I don't want to spoil it later because it runs into a bit I really wanted to get into. But so,
Let's talk
so
about these last couple
yes,
people who are actually interesting.
with Kate Maberly as Dinah, as your standard mystical blind child who has magic psychic powers and hearing powers on account of blind. Uh, Not
It
a good performance, but like again, like we were talking about last week with Drew Barrymore, there's only so much you can pin that on the actual child performer. I don't think it's her fault. It's just really grating
it
presence in this.
I loved her, but I get where you're coming from. I think she's just in the line of incredibly silly performances in this
Yeah.
movie.
It's in general, like I don't fault it. It's also like it doesn't take me out of the movie because the whole movie is weird and not good, but in a way that I like. So like her performance adds to that. If it was a more competent child performance, I'd be like, okay, what do you think you're doing here? This is the Langoliers. This isn't like I don't know, like repertory theater like Shakespeare. You're not playing Puck or whatever. Like
Mhm.
tone it down a bit. So good for her for understanding that this was a piece of shit and appropriately metering her performance for that. But uh
She gave us some great lines, such as that horrible cereal noise.
yes, it sounds like when you pour milk in your Rice Krispies, and then a few lines later, that horrible, terrible, scary sound, and then tying it, yeah, the scary cereal sound. No, she's great. She sucks, but she's great. She also
Yeah.
straight up dies. Like
Oh yeah. Like
she
I
is
was. Why
dead.
did she die?
I don't know.
And also, like, I feel like we shouldn't really be okay with a child dying in
Yes,
this,
at the
but
very least, it's not like, oh, here's a flash moment where she dies. Like she gets stabbed in the chest and then dies
it
like
bleeds out.
like maybe an hour later in the movie. Like it is, I think maybe even over the course of between the two episodes. If not, it
Yeah.
certainly feels like it. But yeah, she gets stabbed in the chest, which is the
Or
one time something actually works in Langolier Town.
I'm trying
Uh,
to think, like, no, she probably got stabbed at the start of episode 2, and then
yeah,
late.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she dies after they fully brought her onto the plane.
Mhm.
And but oh, she does use her psychic powers to bring Toomey out onto the tarmac so he can get Langoliered, so
And
that the Langoliers don't eat everybody else.
and he can have his
I
big
love how she
network
does
scene.
basically like, okay, Mr. Toomey, here's your big redemption scene. Die for us. Die for our sins. Become our live bait. Thanks, Mr. Toomey. I'm gonna die now, but I had to make sure you died first. Fuck you. It's so good.
Oh my
Like
God.
she's not leading him towards the light to have some big like cathartic scene. She's leading him towards the light to be live bait. It's so cool. Good for you, Dinah. Fuck
God,
yeah. Fuck that guy.
I do really like the scene when she like it's early on when they're on the plane and she's seeing what Mr. Toomey sees, like the
Yeah.
horrible faces or whatever. It's just like it's nice. There's a lot of like little good scenes amongst the bullshit.
Yeah. Again, 3 hours is a lot of commitment for this, but like I had a good time with it. But
It
yeah,
actually felt pretty breezy too. It's
yeah,
like it wasn't a long 3 hours for me.
it's all on YouTube. Like if you're listening to this far, like sorry for spoiling the Langoliers, but also you don't care. Go watch the Langoliers. It's pretty fun.
Hmm.
Um, do we talk about
I
uh
think it's time for Mr. Toomey,
Craig
unless we had any
Mr.
more about
Craig
Dinah.
Toomey? I don't think I have more about her.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if I had any quotes written down, but no, I do not. Uh, so yeah, Bronson Pinchot as Mr. Toomey. He
Craig
is
Toomey.
he is the star of the show. They give him so much fucking material, and Bronson just eats it all the fuck up. He
Much
is
like a Langolier.
true.
He eats it up.
He gives such a massive performance that is so fucking funny. And it starts so early too. There's not a build up or anything. He's just immediately like, I have an important meeting in Boston at 9 o'clock.
And I
Boom.
have to be there.
And just not listening to anybody when they explain everybody's fucking disappeared. It's just like, I don't give a shit. Get me to Boston.
I don't care that the apocalypse is happening. I'm supposed to be in Boston. Turn this plane the fuck around.
Scaring
Uh,
the little girl?
he's wild. He's our antagonist. If you hadn't surmised that, he keeps having these hallucinations of his abusive father. Stephen King bingo card. Check off abusive father in the past.
Mhm.
Who was very much like you have to be a productive worker. What is you have to be a part of the big picture, and if
Mhm.
lazy people aren't a part of the big picture, they scramble, and the
The
Langoliers
scamper.
run. Scamper, sorry, scamper. And the Langoliers that's where the Langoliers comes from. It's this like boogeyman figure that his dad scared into him as a kid of like there
They're
are
all
these
hair and teeth and have fast little legs.
and they come and eat all the lazy little boys and girls in the world and you have to be a part of the big picture and all this stuff. And like it's unsettling when it cuts back to those hallucinations because he keeps hallucinating his dad telling him still like, "Hey, you're lazy. The Langoliers are gonna get you. You suck. Fuck you." But he's this sort of non-discriminate banker man who like spent $43 million on junk bonds that he knew were junk bonds to fuck over
Hmm.
his company, I guess.
Yeah.
It's sort of loosely defined, but he's mentally unwell and he's having these hallucinations and he sees everyone as monsters and he thinks the Langoliers are going to get them. And at a certain point in this movie, I just sort of went off on a sidetrack of like imagining this movie where everything is exactly the same except that's Kendall Roy. 'Cause he looks kind of like Jeremy Strong.
Oh my
And so then I
God.
was just picturing like, what if this movie was just like in the canon of Succession and this just happened to Kendall Roy?
Oh
What
my
if he
God.
just like got Langolier? And it's all the same, except it's the character of Kendall Roy in this liminal space yelling at everyone about fucking Gojo and having hallucinating Logan Roy yelling at him.
Oh my God. That would be so
Just like,
perfect.
you guys, I really have to get to Boston. I really have to get to Boston because I have a meeting and we're gonna crank it the fuck up. And I have to get to Boston because my brother is gonna get to Boston. My brother is gonna fuck it up. And just like I just at times was watching scenes of Toomey, giggling to myself, imagining Kendall Roy covered in blood, shouting at Stephen King on this imaginary table on the tarmac, just like God.
That
Better
would be
movie
so good.
if this was Kendall Roy.
God, I So that's your fan casting for the
Yes, that's
big
my
budget
fan cast.
remake.
Jeremy Strong as Mr. Toomey, but also maybe just Jeremy Strong as Kendall Roy.
Jeremy Strong as Kendall Roy as Mr. Toomey.
Yeah,
Oh my God, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful
thank
idea
you.
you got here.
Yes. What are your thoughts on Mr. Toomey?
Mr. Toomey is the best. I there's there really isn't that much to say about him outside the fact that he's just fucking insane.
Yeah.
Though one of my favorite parts about the character was how he's just constantly edging himself by ripping paper.
Yeah. That's
Strips.
his calming technique is ripping strips of paper. Because get it? When the Langoliers eat, they eat strips out of the world. It's a visual metaphor. It's stupid.
Wait, was that really what it was? I
I
had a
think it's
hard.
supposed to be, yeah, because it's the same sort of like jagged edges of the holes in the world, and it shows how he's connected with them or whatever.
But
Uh
also this I feel like this is a good point to bring up something. So there was there's this thing called the Timekeepers of Eternity. This is a re-edit, I guess, of this mini series
oh,
where they this guy like re-edited the movie. He printed every frame out onto pieces of paper and then like used the paper to animate. Hey, and just like crumpled it up in certain ways, like ripped it, and it's just like it's genuinely like visually interesting. And what this re-edit, it's only an hour long too.
ooh,
It,
that's
it
nice. I
focuses
like
a
that.
lot on Mr. Toomey and his psyche and stuff like that. And it's like I watched it like right after I watched the whole miniseries. Like formally I really loved it, like the animation style and stuff, but I also didn't like it as much simply because it is focusing so wholly on Mr. Toomey. It doesn't have the plot of any, like it has some plot scenes, but doesn't like fully follow through with any of the plot elements. It's more just, the character analysis. And it's like it it's at the very least a very interesting watch, like a very interesting companion piece to this miniseries.
Yeah. I mean, what makes this work so well are those eerie moments of again, liminal spaces. I hate like using that buzzword here, but like this does get that vibe better than a lot of whatever your YouTube schlock is. Like
Yeah. Like
when
this
they enter, like the clock's not working, the phone's not working, but also there's no echo and the food has gone not bad, but just plain, and the matches don't work. And these things that just like make it all feel so much more eerie. And the yeah, it's great. Can I cut in with something else that I found that is less directly related than that
Go ahead.
fan edit? But I want you to Google image search "Perfect Strangers" then and now because I was looking up some stuff about Bronson Pinchot. I've never watched Perfect Strangers, but there's two very bad clickbait thumbnails that are in like the first three results. Which one are you looking at? Are you looking at Fat Mark Lynn Baker or at
I'm looking at
dead
the fat one.
Ed Bronson Pinchot, where he's in a hospital bed, amputated with a very bad Photoshop of Bronson Pinchot's head, not even proportionate.
Jesus Christ, this is hilarious.
They're both so good.
The hospital bed one's definitely
The
the
hospital
best
bed one is the one that made me go from, oh, this is a dumb thumbnail to I need to bring this up on the podcast.
God.
It's so bad. The more I look at it, the worse. Why is he smiling so much? If that's him, it's the worst Photoshop I've seen.
Every
Oh
morning he breaks his bones.
my, oh my God, it's so funny. Speaking of so funny, bad Photoshop, Bronson Pinchot dying, the Langoliers and his big death scene. Hey, I tied it back in, and that wasn't even on purpose. Um, it's a shame we don't see him get eaten, because like I mean, I get it. The CGI is already a bit, like terrible as it is, but in a way that is like charming. Like everyone that's putting this on, like, oh, worst CGI of all time, like get the fuck over yourself. It's a TV movie from 1995. They spent their budget on fucking Patricia Wettig and Dean Stockwell. Like they're not gonna make a good CGI Langolier. And they look fine for what they are, the big old meatballs with the PlayStation teeth, but
Mhm.
like seeing them zoom all over the place is corny and cheesy and dumb. But like they run after Toomey and chase him down the strip, and he's
Mhm.
screaming and covered in blood because he got beat up with a microwave and then almost killed. But Nick remembered the sound of Dinah saying, "Don't kill him, we need him," which apparently, "Don't kill him yet, we need him to die later," is what that was supposed to be. But
Yeah,
like
they need him for bait.
yeah, the Langoliers chase after him, and he gets knocked over. And for some reason, Laurel is really upset watching this awful man die. But he gets eaten off screen, and it would have been nice to see the Langoliers, at the very least, eat a bad puppet of Bronson Pinchot.
Yeah. Yeah, like it doesn't have to even have any blood or anything. Just let us watch him die, please.
Yeah, come on, he sucks. Let us watch him die. Let us watch him die. Come on.
But also going back to the scene with Nick and Mr. Toomey, he when the little voice went into Nick's head, I didn't realize that that was something that she had said to him earlier, so I just thought she was telepathically communicating with him in that moment.
I mean, she does
Don't do
later.
it.
She does telepathically commune with Toomey, but like
Yeah.
in that moment, no, that was just a line that she said earlier as she was bleeding out on the floor.
God, it really is just so funny how she's just fucking dying for the
Yeah,
entire second episode.
and then she just does die, and like the like Nick comes back into the cockpit to tell Captain Brian something. Hey, we lost the girl, and he goes, "Wow." She never even got to have her surgery, which, like, yeah, she didn't get to do a lot of things. She died at like 9. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot like yeah, she didn't get to have her life-saving or like her eyesight saving surgery. She's also like dead for real forever all the
Yeah.
time. Like it's not just that she missed. She's a dead child on your airplane, which you're gonna have to explain to somebody. Like
Well,
this airplane disappeared over Denver, showed back up in LA. 6 of the passengers are accounted for. One of them, a child, is dead on the airplane from a stab wound. They're gonna ask you about that, Brian. They're gonna
wait,
ask you about that, Bob. Like,
but how will they know? Like they just appeared in the airport. They could
but
just walk out
there's
and go
still,
home.
but there's flight logs for that airplane from taking off from LAX the first time. They know what airplane it is. They know who the passengers were. I mean, Brian, maybe not because he just sort of got moved onto the plane last minute, but they're going to be asking Bob and Albert and Laurel and Hungry Man and Bethany? I
Bethany.
think Bethany. They're going to be asking them, hey, what happened to your airplane? Why is this child dead? Don't fucking jump into the freeze frame. The police have questions for you. American Pride has questions for you. They're gonna get sued by somebody. That child had a family aside from her aunt. Like,
Yeah,
don't,
that is a question that it's like I left the movie thinking it's just like there is so much that's gonna happen now because
yeah,
they are back in reality, yes, but like they they are going to become the center of a conspiracy for the rest of their lives.
yeah. And it's gonna be a justifiable conspiracy because some whack shit did happen to them. Like, come on. And also happened to everyone on the plane that got raptured to heaven in their clothes. Like, seriously. Okay, what other notes do I have here?
I
Um,
need to like look through my notes and see
yeah.
like what I haven't mentioned yet. Um,
Nick asking Laurel, would you like to go out to dinner with me if and when we get back to LA? Literally out of nowhere. I don't know if those characters have spoken up to that point, and then the romance just happens and then becomes a real big thing that almost prolongs their whole life-saving procedure because, like, he's really hung up on you go back to England and find my father. They still call him the gaffer around town. Find, go up and down to all the shops along this street. Tell him I tried to get out. And if he doesn't believe you, tell him that I'm sorry about what happened in Belfast outside the church. And if he still doesn't believe you, tell him about the time I bought the daisies. And she goes, okay, I'll tell him about the time you brought him daisies. No, no, no. I bought the daisies not for him. He'll understand. Tell him. Tell him all that. And leans in for a kiss, and Captain Brian yells back, "Nick, I need you." And he goes and goes back into the cockpit. And then the scene has fully ended, and she goes into the cockpit after him and is like, "Now let me just get this straight. I have to go to England, and I have to find your father, who they call the Gaffer, and I have to tell him about Belfast, and tell him you want it out, and tell him about the daisies." And like they repeat the whole thing over again. For what? For
It
it's so dumb. Oh, it's
yeah, like
so God.
they there was definitely padding here, and it's a
Oh yeah.
lot in the second episode.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a lot of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Like just like the
I
one thing
messaged you.
the
Yeah.
one thing you messaged me was they have escaped the Langoliers and there is 40 minutes
No,
left.
there's an hour.
Oh,
There
there's an
isn't.
hour left.
How is there still an? No, I guess it was four. Either way, yeah. They get up in the air, away from the Langoliers, who like they're gone. The Langoliers are good and done with, and that that antagonistic mystical force is solved. No more dealing with the Langoliers with 40 minutes to go of your 3 hour miniseries. Like, how is there 40 minutes? How is there like seriously?
Because
Come on.
they have to fly through the time rip and they have to do it right.
Yeah. One of the things after they do fly through the time rip and Laurel shows back up in the cockpit and it's like, hey, it didn't work. We're over LA, but there's no lights and there's no movement down there. And there's a a pan across the LA skyline. As she's saying there's nothing there. You can see a little car driving down the road.
Yes, you can
There's
you
one car.
absolutely can see a car.
There is one car moving. They like obviously must have cleared the streets and blocked them off for the sake of getting that shot. And yet, one car made it through. Whoops.
Oops. It's okay.
Maybe
Uh
that was Nick. Maybe he, when he went through the time rift, he just showed back up in LA and it's like, oh, well, I guess that's how it works.
Uh, one, so just looking through my notes, they mentioned the guy who's bringing the captain over to the flight to go to Boston. And it's just like he mentions that there is Aurora Borealis over the
Yes,
Mojave Desert,
at
and
this time of year. And he
immediately
says Aurora Borealis at this time of year.
at
Oh my
this time
God.
of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within the Mojave Desert.
It's such a good little, there's also a point when Captain Brian is pointing out why they can't just refuel here in Maine and fly back, talking about how the matches don't work, the food doesn't work, jet fuel won't work. Jet fuel won't burn up in the engine. And it was like, "Oh, come on, say the line, Bart. Say the line. Jet fuel won't melt steel beams. Come on. Come on, say it."
He should have used the time rip to go to 9/11 in the future.
Yeah. Well, that's not how it works, remember?
Yeah, we know but he should have tried.
He should have tried.
Hmm
He should have known.
He should have known, like he should have just known that 9/11
Yeah.
was going to happen and stop it somehow using the power of the Langoliers.
The Langoliers should have just eaten those planes.
uh,
Uh,
I'm
oh boy. What a
I
time.
another thing I have in my notes, two lines from Bethany. Whoa, nose hold. Whoa,
Yeah,
no one's driving the plane.
I wrote "Woe and Noshold" as well. That's good. When Nick just grabs Mr. Toomey by the nose and twists it and breaks it because he's being annoying.
And there's the line, it's like, have you seen Star Trek? Well, I'd be happy to show
No,
you
have you
the
ever watched Mr. Spock on Star Trek?
Mr. Spock of Star Trek.
Like
Yes.
he's a real guy. Have you ever seen Mr. Spock on Star Trek?
Be happy to
I,
demonstrate
like,
his Vulcan sleeper hold.
I've never seen Star Trek, but I have seen Mr. Spock on Star Trek. I've seen him, but not the rest of the show. I watched Leonard Nimoy Blinders. I only ever watch TV frames that he is in.
I've just listened to Leonard Nimoy's album where he's Spock.
Yeah. God, I've gone lightheaded talking about the Langoliers. This rules. This
This
is the
is
reason we have this podcast.
like literally, I messaged you. It's like this is why I signed up for this.
Yeah.
This exact shit.
This
Like
is the reason why I kind of strong-armed us into doing this one early because my
no, I brought
only
up Langoliers. No, that
you
was me. Fuck
you
you.
brought it up because I had kept on going. We got to do the Langoliers soon. I kind of
No,
incepted it into
Langoliers is
either way.
me.
Either way, Langoliers is something that I have had a fascination with for years, despite having not seen it, just because I've seen the bad CGI, which again is fine. It sucks, but it's fine. Just like the movie The Langoliers. But it's also just like such a dumb title. Like, what is The Langoliers? It's
Yeah.
these monsters I made up. It's stupid. It rules.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, The Langoliers.
I I was thinking like has there ever been a good movie title where the title is something you made up? It's like because Stephen King does this a lot, like the Tommy Knockers
Tom,
and things like that.
Salem's Lot, Pet Cemetery spelled like that. Like he knows his The Stand, whatever that means. Like
Yeah.
that's a word, but it's like it's a made up thing. It's a thing he made up and invented. But yeah, he's done that plenty.
Yeah, but
Uh,
it's like has there ever been a good usage of that where it's like even though it's a made up
Probably
word, it's like it still is effective.
Existenz, Gattaca. Those two, just off the top of my head, are ones that do that. I'm just gonna go to my letterbox list and click on sci-fi and see what happens. But those two are at least good
Gattaca
examples.
is a good one. That's a good title.
Existenz also. Don't rule out Existenz.
Well,
Existenz rules.
existence is kind of a real world. It's
It's
existence spelled weird.
yeah, but with the
Like Langoliers
capitalization,
doesn't mean anything.
yeah. Okay, fine. Um, Godzilla. Godzilla doesn't mean anything until Frankenstein. That didn't mean anything until it did. Like those are made up words.
Oh,
Okja.
wait,
Okja's made up.
is Frankenstein not like a real name?
It might have been, but like not anymore. Nobody's out here just naming people Frankenstein.
I wish they did.
Yeah. Videodrome. Videodrome is made up.
True. Cronenberg has a
Videodrome.
few.
Yeah. Zardoz. Zardoz is, well,
Zardoz is not a good title.
have you seen Zardoz?
No, I have not, but
Do you know where the title Zardoz comes from?
no, not at all.
Do you want me to tell you where the title
Please
Zardoz
do.
comes from? There's a point in the movie where Sean Connery's leather-bound protagonist Zed goes into the head of Zardoz, which is the big floating rock head on the poster of the movie,
Oh,
where like all of books have been kept because books have been kept from the people. And he finds I think either crossed out or burnt up or ripped up copy of The Wizard of Oz.
oh
And the
my
reason is that
God.
Zardoz is just a clipped up section of the wizard. It's so cool. Zardoz rules. You gotta watch Zardoz. I
I
think you would really like Zardoz,
well,
honestly. Knowing your
maybe
taste in things, like I think you would like Zardoz.
anyway, we can't dilly-dally any longer, Craigie Wiggy.
Yes. Yes, Craigie Waggy. No, you can't be the lazy boys and girls of the world. You got to be part of the big picture. The big picture. Okay. We
What?
moving on to our next month or closing thoughts on the Langoliers.
I mean, let's do closing thoughts if we have any, and then we can like round out the episode by picking them.
I do think it's cool when they get back into the real world and they're in the future, and Dean Stockwell realizes it, and he like takes them over to hug the wall, basically, to be like, we don't want to be where someone else also is when we zoom back in and we like explode them or whatever.
Hmm.
So they're just hugging the wall, and these two kids are like, "Hey, new people," and their dad is like, yeah, whatever. Let's find your mom," and they go
Did you
running
hear
off.
her? Are we the new people?
It's so stupid. It's so dorky. Such a it's like remarkably uplifting happy ending of like I want to know what Dean Stockwell thought running down the hallway arm in arm with these people doing a jump freeze frame. Like it's so goofy that Dean Stockwell survives, right?
Yeah.
He
Like,
should that character it's the Stephen King insert other than the Stephen King cameo, which I sort of briefly alluded to, but he's the hallucinated boss at the Boston scene on the tarmac, but like he should be dead. Gene Stockwell's character should
yeah.
be dead.
It, I mean, there was no chance for him to die. Like maybe replace him with Frankie Faison again.
Yeah,
Just like put him in that scene. But
yeah. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
He needs to be there to realize that they're in the future, because he is the mystery writer, and that gives him authority on all things Langolier.
But also you mentioned like how they have to hug the wall to get out of the way of people. They left a fucking plane at a terminal.
They sure did, actually. I mean,
Like, what
they
if there
don't
was
realize it
another
with
plane
enough
there?
time. Like, they don't realize it with enough time to do that. But yeah, they sure don't question that. at all. Also, Paradox, what happened to that honey bun that got eaten in the future? Is that honey bun still there when it zaps back to the past? Where'd that go?
God, there is so many fucking like loophole or not
Plot
loopholes,
holes. Plot
plot
holes.
holes. That's it. Plot holes in this fucking thing. But if you care about plot holes, you're boring. Like
Plot holes big enough to drive a Langolier through. Maybe
yeah,
plot holes that were
the
caused.
Langoliers ate them
Yeah,
whole. It's like they
they ate
made
the
the
hole
plot
in the
hole.
plot. Yeah, exactly. Um, Biggest plot hole. They just left Denver. Why is he hell bent on landing in Maine? Like,
Yeah, like why not land closer than
yeah,
like
it's so stupid. Other like just like I don't
it's
know.
just because Stephen King likes Maine.
Find a way for the route to be through Maine then. Have them depart from Canada. Like Canada to Boston or something. Boston to Canada.
Or
I don't
like
know.
literally like London to Boston or London to
Yeah.
whatever. Like
Somewhere that Maine is not further out of your way than where you were. Like Maine is further from Denver than Boston is. That's just true. Like, what are we doing here?
like yeah, it's just like if I were writing the story, which I'm not because I'm not Stephen King, it's like
And
you
also because the story's already been written. So like
exactly.
it would
Unless I
be
travel to the
plagiarism.
past, but then it's like
Yeah.
that's not
You
how
won't be able
fast
to do
travel
that.
works.
You'll just get eaten by
Because
a Langolier.
yeah, the Langoliers fucking eat my story.
Oh no.
Anyway, it's like travel like across the Atlantic, let's say London to Boston, and then it's like you realize that it's like you went through the time rip or whatever, and it's like there's an airport in Newfoundland that was famously used for like refueling when you're traveling across the Atlantic. Just land fucking there, and it's like it's not used nowadays anymore because plane plane tanks are like full enough where they don't need to do that refueling stop anymore. So it's just
Yeah.
like that's a big ass airport that nobody uses. Use that.
Yeah. Or we have our not Australian man have them fly from Sydney to LAX, like in Lost.
True. Of course.
Like
Bringing
in
it back
Lost,
to
like they do
Lost.
in Lost. Yeah. I do like when they get to the airport in Maine, and they've already seen all the lights are off in Denver. There's nobody in any of these cities. All the lights are off everywhere they look. And they land and they get into the airport and there's nobody there. And Captain Brian goes, "How could this be?" Like he's like, surely there were gonna be people in this airport in Maine, even if there weren't anywhere else. Like they've got to be here. What do you mean there's no people at this airport? That's bullshit.
Like they specifically landed there because it has low traffic.
Yeah. Fuck you, Captain Brian. Anyway,
It's
should we
stupid.
should we do February?
All
Should
right.
we pick
I
out?
have the list pulled up if you want to get a random number
I
generator.
have random.org, minimum one, maximum 3,486, which is how many we have on our go-to list for now. The first number generated 2,147. So the first Tuesday of
2147.
that will be on page 20.
Well,
Nope, it'll
22.
be 22.
Uh,
I did my math wrong.
Big Dreams
2,000.
and Broken Hearts, the Dottie West story.
Sure.
Uh,
Uh,
let's look at this. Dottie West fought a difficult childhood to rise as one of country music's icons, winning the first ever Grammy for Best Female Country Vocal Performance in 1965. She pushed the boundaries of country music and befriended some of their greatest musical artists. Poor management besieged her with financial problems, and she was on her way to fighting them through when she was tragically killed.
oh
Starring
no.
Michelle Lee as Dottie West and a bunch of
And
people.
then bunch of people as themselves. Yeah, Chet Atkins, Larry Gatlin, Chris Christopherson, Loretta Lynn, Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers. I like the sound of that.
Let, all right, what's the next number?
The next number is 1,205.
1205, page 13. This is Prototype. Ooh, this looks fun. An intelligent android, Michael, constructed by a research team, is taken outdoors and successfully passed off as a human in a trial run. When the government hears of this, they order their own set of tests in Washington. When the project leader realizes the military want the android for a soldier, he can't accept it, and he and Michael go into hiding to avoid their clutches. Starring
Michael, played by
David
Dave
Morse
Morse.
and
Our
Christopher
first,
Plummer as Dr. Carl
and
Forster.
Frances Sternhagen. Love to see her. Directed by David Green isn't anyone
Also,
I know,
Arthur
but
Hill? Huh. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Wow. Okay. So prototype, second
That's gonna be
Tuesday.
fun.
That sounds like fun. Christopher Plummer, David Morse. David Morse is a robot. Hey, it works with his performance in the Langoliers. Okay.
Okay, I'm
3,331.
3301. That is
3331.
3331.
That
3331.
is
Uh
Riot.
Riot.
A look at the 1970s gay rights movement in Australia through the eyes of dedicated activist Lance Gowland. As Lance deals with his sexuality, he must also juggle work, family, and relationships. Starring Damon Harriman, who I love.
From Better
Uh,
Man.
oh, is
I
he in that? I
yeah,
know him from
I just watched him.
Justified and a few other things. But
He was also in the Bike Riders last year.
yes, he was. He was very good in that. Um,
Anyway,
cool.
seems good. Like a genuinely
Yeah.
good movie.
Also, I want to double check. Are there 4 or 5 Tuesdays in February?
Probably four because there's only
Probably
four
because of
weeks
February, but they're sometimes you get five and but I
when
guess
it's a
not.
leap year.
Yeah, I guess never in February would you have four or would you have
Yeah.
okay. And our
Last
last
one.
one is 241. Okay, early.
Oh, two,
Page two
four, one. It's
page
page three.
241 is Welcome Home Johnny Bristol.
Ooh.
An American soldier manages to endure his captivity in a Vietnamese POW camp by keeping alive the memories of his life in his hometown. When he is finally released from the camp and is discharged from the military, he goes back to his town, but he can find no trace whatsoever of it. Ooh. Martin
Martin
Landau,
Landau.
Jane Alexander, Brock Peters, Martin Sheen. I like
Damn.
these people.
We
Uh,
really got a good role here. Like this is a good
yeah,
variety. A lot of these seem good, or at least fun.
yeah. Also, do you want to go ahead and cut those four off of our list? Cut it down to a measly 3,482.
Yes. I
Uh,
usually I've been like deleting them as we like watch them, like
okay,
just in case like one of these is not available somewhere. But
perfect.
yes, I will
Okay.
do that eventually.
So, can you remind me what those four are so I can also make a letterbox list for me to have them?
First, Big Dreams and Broken Hearts, the Dottie West story. Second, Prototype.
Prototype
Third,
from what year?
1983.
83.
Then we have Riot from 2018. And then we have Welcome Home, Johnny Bristol from 1972.
Fascinating. A good set of I mean, I haven't seen any of them, so
Oh,
good notwithstanding. Who knows? But
have not heard of a single one of these,
me
but
neither.
they
And they're on
sound
our
fun.
list. But yeah, don't know a thing about any of them. But there you go. That's the point of the podcast.
Just to find fun things and random things, and
Such as the Langoliers
such as the Langoliers and Welcome Home, Johnny Bristol
and Prototype
and
and,
Riot and
and Big
Big
Dreams and
Dreams and
Broken Hearts
Broken
of the
Hearts,
Dottie
the
West
Dottie West
story.
story.
We're in for some good stuff, I think. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows?
Any
We're
last
in for
words?
uh no. We're the new people. Free
We're
stuff.
the new people.